welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. So welcome to those of you who are new, and welcome back to those who are already part of the family. And yeah, we are just going to keep this train rolling. We are in the depths of catching up on the Real Housewives of Orange County recap and reviews. If you had happened to notice the last couple of videos that I had dropped, I did do a video on Real Housewives of Orange County, not Orange County, excuse me, New Jersey, the season finale. Make sure you take a look at that one and leave your thoughts in the comment section about what went on in that episode. I also provided the recap and review for episode 2 of Real Housewives of Orange County. One had already been done. So lots of course, stuff that went on in that episode as well. So make sure that you do check that video out, both of those, of course. And leave your thoughts down below, what you thought about the episode, what you thought about the things that were going on in the episode. They were both quite meaty. And yeah, lots were definitely going on. So here we are again. We are now going into the next recap review that I wanted to catch up with you on, which was on episode 3, because tonight is Thursday and we're looking at episode 5 for Real Housewives of Orange County to air. First time air tonight. So we are now on the 3 review, and then I still have to do 4 for you. And then we'll also be doing 5 as well this week. So we're going to be all caught up, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm just really glad to be able to bring these videos to you because like I said, yesterday, I've actually have set aside a couple of other stories that I wanted to share with you in order to try to get these recaps and reviews to you as soon as I possibly could. So thank you again for just kind of hanging out with me on that. So we are going to go right on in and dive in. Of course, I have my trusty notes because there was a lot going on. I don't want to miss anything. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here. So as you see, we start off episode 3's situation, if you will. We're leaving off from the actual blowout conversation that Jen and Gina have at the coffee shop. And it's, of course, in regards to Jen's eviction, in which the home that she's being evicted from was provided to her by Gina, as Gina is now a real estate agent. And, the reason for that eviction was because Jen was unable to continue to pay the rent for the home. So that caused a lot of issues, and this is where we are now. Now, of course, from last episode in the cafe part, Gina just read Jen the riot act in regards to the fact that she said that what you did is you broke that contract, and your job was to pay those bills that are associated, most importantly, the rent for that location. Also, I think, she's, upset and feels burned, obviously, because this was a help that she did for Jen, that she actually was able to utilize another realtor to help in that process. And, she feels burned because she was out of a deal that potentially could have, been fruitful for Gina. So, it's a lot of issues there when it comes to this situation. But, we're going to hang on there because this episode basically gives us a little bit of a cool down on this conversation. So we're glad that we get there. But before we do, we got to keep on rolling on the end of how this actual blowout takes place. So as we know, at the end of the episode from for number 2, the Gina basically storms out, right? She's done. She's had enough. She's basically like, look, you can mess around and do your situation wrong, but you don't do me wrong. So she storms off, gets in the car. Jen is left, breaking the fourth wall, talking to the producer about, like basically what the heck just happened here. And she looks really bewildered because it was a lot coming at her. So when Gina, gets into her car, she drives off. The first person that she calls is Emily to let her know what happened. She just starts going in and saying, look, I don't understand the way Jen does things. At the end of the day, she just doesn't seem to get it. And I am just so tired of trying to get her to understand. Now, Emily was definitely very supportive of Gina because she does understand why she is upset. So she just really just lends herself to be an open ear. Now, part of the conversation or the blowout that is that, Jen had shared with Gina that I would think that you went through a divorce and you had similar situations you had to deal with. So I thought you would be a little bit more empathetic to my situation, my plight. And, Gina does kind of get back into that again in the car conversation with Emily, because she does share that, I do have empathy. I do understand. But at the end of the day, I wasn't sitting around waiting for a check from my ex-husband while we were going through the proceedings of the situation of our divorce. I realized that once that marriage was over, so was a lot of the benefits basically of the life that she had had at that point. That was over too. She felt that, she had to definitely get in there and start making a way for herself and her 3 children. And that was the priority. So what she did, she downsized, because that's one thing that she definitely criticized Jen for. If you cannot afford a home of this size, maybe get something small that you can afford. Jen apparently, just wasn't going down that path for whatever reason, but that was something that Gina definitely said over and over again. And which you recall a few seasons ago, when Gina was going through her divorce, we did see her do just that. Now, the arrangement that they had, if you recall, back then, but if not, this will be kind of just sharing that with you, and a refresher for those who did watch those episodes. Now, when Gina was going through her divorce with her husband, she actually downsized into a casita, which is basically like a, what you call like a studio apartment, if you will, in order to keep the children in the main home at the time, where Matt, her ex-husband, could also then come and stay at that main home. So the kids stayed pretty much central to what was going on in their life. So basically, whenever it was her week or her time to be with the kids, she would move into the house and stay with the kids. So the kids' school and all that kind of stuff stayed as is, at least for that time being, before they really had to make the critical moves. So these were the things that they did. As Gina says, you make sacrifices in order to do what you need to do. Sometimes in life, you do have to take a couple steps back to do 4 steps forward, right? We all know that this is life. But again, there's a little bit of an understanding or reasoning. Doesn't mean that it's right or not. It's just that we get a little bit more clarity and understanding as to why Jen maybe doesn't really think in that same vein. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So, of course, at this point, Gina, I guess, was on a tear. So she continued to talk about that. Emily's basically saying, yeah, I know you did everything you could to, take care of your kids. You did everything you could to support your kids or do what you need to do, keep them fed and a roof over their heads. So I get it. Also, at this point, Gina is just basically saying, look, I just have no more time in me to continue to educate Jen. And to not being an idiot, right? Because she was calling her stupid. I mean, everything not so smart under the sun. Gina was hurling those insults. And so that's basically how she had left her feelings on that. So Emily, in her fun, spunky kind of way, basically switches over the conversation to, hey, you're still going to be there for the flag football, because if you remember, we talked about the fact that Emily did a flag football session with her daughter. She had a great time, and she thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to kind of bring that as an event for the ladies. So they basically get all of their aggression out on the field and have a good time and move forward in that way. So it's supposed to be happening coming up Saturday. And Gina says, yeah, absolutely. I'm for sure going to be there. Gina also made a real issue about the glam that Jen decided that she wanted to continue to be in. And so they kind of joked about that as well. Like, yeah, she'll probably be in full glam when she comes to this outing. So I guess we'll wait and see. And then Emily, does a little bit of a joking quirk. I don't think Jen would find it to be funny, but she does coin the phrase, yeah, she'll probably come here basically as broke a Malibu Barbie. So they get a good laugh out of that at Jen's expense, all of her expense. And that kind of ends their conversation within that scene. But at the same time, we're cross-referencing back to Jen, who's left at the coffee shop, bewildered and doesn't really know where to go from here, because she just was so sandblasted by all of the vitriol that Gina had definitely had left for her. So what she decides to do is, well, I need to talk to somebody, right? I need to have an ally too. So she goes in and has a conversation by way of phone call, and she calls Shannon. And I was really impressed with Shannon, I have to say, because, Shannon was always the one that was going through the situations, right? So it was kind of nice for Shannon to be given an opportunity to actually do something for someone else and kind of be there for them in that supportive role, which is something Tamara definitely would criticize her for not doing, is being there for her whenever she needed her. So I think Shannon really did show up in this episode. She really did. And so at this point, she's basically being told the rundown of what took place, what was going on. And, she hears Jen's story out. She hears what she has to say. She hears the things that Gina had shared with her. And of course, Shannon says, look, I definitely can understand where you're coming from, because again, Shannon was extremely supportive of Jen, I felt, in that conversation. But she also said, but I do also see both sides. I see why Gina is upset about the situation as well. And of course, we get a quick flashback, because if you recall, during that football sit down, practice football sit down, that Emily and Shannon and Gina did last episode, part of that conversation, and adjacent to what Shannon was sharing about how she felt about the DUI and, just how upset and embarrassed she was basically of those things. Well, they also talked not only about that, but of course, Alexis and John, but then they also talked about the situation with the eviction. And that was also a spot where Gina had shared that, yeah, me and Jen are going to have a sit down. And she talked about, rehashing a bit of the situations that we already talked about, the deal, the $50,000 and all that good stuff. So this is why she can understand how both of them could feel and see both sides of the situation. And she really kind of, in a nutshell, just says, hey, look, I get it, but you guys are going to have to find a way to kind of come together at some point. Now, Jen does also further discuss, hey, one of the things I thought that she would be is a little bit more empathetic to my situation, because she had to live in a whole concita during her divorce. And look, at the end of the day, I don't have any money. All money that I do have is what my estranged husband Will gives me. So that's the stance that she's in right now. But also missing the point about the concita situation, where, Gina actually, sacrificed space for herself in order to be able to maintain what she needed to be for her kids in a place that allowed them to be okay. And also, still do what she needs to do to move forward. So, there was a lot of conversation surrounding that. And, Shannon, again, very supportive, but also does say to Jen, you and Gina really do need to have some kind of sit down, some kind of real way to communicate to see how you can make things better. And, Jen says, look, I'm more than willing to do that. I just need her to be able to stick around long enough to have this conversation. So that pretty much kind of leaves us at that point there. And I think that Jen definitely was in need of a nap, because the stuff that she went through was just unprecedented, I think, for her. I don't know, maybe she goes through these situations from time to time in life when it comes to her maybe not doing things people think that she should be doing. But I just kind of feel like this was kind of that real opening eye conversation of just how mad Gina was. And maybe that's what she needed to hear. I don't know. So then we move on to game day, basically. We always start off with these big events and seeing the ladies kind of getting together, getting ready, prior to going to the event itself. And of course, we start off with Tamara, who wastes no time to say some kind of joke and make fun of Shannon. Because, as we know, over the years, over the seasons, when there's an event that takes place, Shannon loves a theme. And so she will really get into that theme. And so whatever costuming that she can do, she will definitely come in there. And quite frankly, I'm here for it, because I think it sometimes makes the event fun and something interesting to talk about, laugh about, and joke about as well. But it's nice when the joke is inclusive of you and not at your expense, right? But that's, is what Tamara feels that she needs to do in that moment. And so that's what she does. She also does further share that, even though her and Shannon are not in the best of place, she does at least want to be able to interact with Shannon at this event, really, even if it's intermittently, but to get to a point where they can get along for the event, but she doesn't want to go too deep with her. So that's kind of her expectation of the day and how she plans on interacting with Shannon, if at all possible. So that way things can stay copacetic between the two, right? Also, we do flip over to Shannon to see what she's doing. And, this is the second event within this season that Shannon seems to be having a good time while she's getting ready, and I'm here for it. I'm appreciative of that for her. Of course, she is doing exactly that, right? She is getting her jersey together, getting her numbers on there. She's getting her costume together, and of course, she's trying to iron up the numbers on the back of the jersey, but for some reason can't seem to get them to stick. Now, what ends up finding out is that she didn't even have the iron on. I don't know how that happens and you not realize it, but I'm here for the fun and the light lightheartedness and laughter that is in the show at this moment. Of course, we also do get an opportunity to see Shannon speak a little bit on behalf of how she feels and her expectation for the day as well. And what she basically shares is, look, I just got through being told that I'm not a good friend. I'm a horrible person, a horrible friend at that by Tamara. So at the end of the day, I would be just good to make sure that both Tamara and Alexis, neither one of them, being on my team. And she does get her wish. So, keep those expectations low at this point, and I think you will have a greater day than you could have imagined, right? So that is basically where Shannon is, and that's where Tamara is. Then we are now moving into the actual timing of the event. Emily and a friend of hers obviously comes first because she's there doing setup to get everything together. She's getting all the play things and elements out there and available for the ladies. And then the ladies do start to come in one by one. She is, really ready to go. She's excited about the event. She's ready to do this, but she also needs to get herself a little bit of libation to make this time go by successfully, because you never know with these ladies, right? At the end of the day, the goal was to have this event. So if they're going to have it out, let them have it out on the field. So, and I'm here for Emily for that, right? Emily's making sure that she is giving an opportunity for these ladies to really have a good time and also get out their frustrations at the same time if need be. So next to arrive, we see is Gina and then Katie, and they both actually get themselves margaritas as well. So, everybody's getting kind of loosey-goosey and relaxed into what is going to probably be quite a fun time, I thought, but a little bit of exercise, a little bit of exertion. So I think that was going to be good. We also get a little bit of insight on Katie, where she shares at this moment that, she wouldn't necessarily call herself athletic. However, she was a figure skater for 10 years. And she had actually went to what was called the ISI World and got silver. So congratulations on that, right? For that kind of an accomplishment and that achievement. But she said, look, she quit the actual sport when she was a junior in high school. So at this point, she's kind of starting from zero when it comes to that athleticism, if I could get the word out, being athletic. For the event. Then we see Heather. She arrives next. Now we already know Heather is not about to let a football run past her face, and we're not taking any flags off of her side. So Emily actually coins her the referee, which is perfect for Heather. She's excited about that. She's ready to go. Heather loves to tell people what to do, right? She loves to organize things. She likes to be in charge. So this was a great fit for her. Emily does do a little funny joke about, how she must be in the morning with the whistle, basically telling her, like, get up. Terry, that's his name. Heather's husband, get up, Terry, do what you need to do, Terry, get to work, Terry, make some money, Terry. It was kind of funny. It was kind of cute, but it was very fitting for Heather. So she gets her jersey and her whistle, and she is ready to go with that. Then we see that Tamara arrives next, and then Alexis, and then Jen. Although Jen is trying to keep her space, and her wits about her, because she does see Gina there, and she just doesn't want any static with Gina. And the only thing that she's really hoping for at this point is that she's not on the same team as Gina, and I believe that she got her wish as well. Now, as the ladies are warming up after they, kind of getting their hellos and greetings and all that stuff together, and, sipping whatever left of the libation they were going to sip, they decided to go ahead and do a bit of a warm up. And of course, in grand form, as usual, and to be expected, Shannon comes in with her costumed way of uniform for the flag football, and she's ready to go. She looked good, and it was just fun to see, because one thing about Shannon, she will own her look, and it was really appreciative for her to get in that spirit and that fun-loving side of her, coming out. She does automatically walk up to Gina and basically kind of whispers to Gina, hey, we figured out how we're going to be doing these teams here, because like her said, she does not want Alexis or Tamara on her team. And at that point, Gina's like, I think we're going to have captains, and they're going to do picking, but they hadn't done it yet. So we see that the two captains, after the warm-up is done, ends up being Emily and Tamara. No surprise there. And they go ahead and start divvying out everybody, and it seems to be everybody's kind of spread out on both teams in a real good fashion, so that helps. I can't remember every single person that was on each one of the teams, so I'll just come up with a couple of points. Alexis was on Tamara's team. Shannon's on Emily's team. Okay. So They at this point decide to go ahead and kind of break up a little bit. Each team kind of gets to talk amongst themselves, kind of get their strategy down a little bit. Also at this point, it's a time to get, whoever's wearing the shirts to know who's on what side of the team, and also for them to come up with their team name. So ironically, Tamra ends up saying with her group that they decided to call themselves Love, and so their team Love, and Emily and Shannon, all of them, their team the Destroyers. And I thought that was quite fitting considering what ends up happening later on in this scene. So everybody seems to be good to go. They're getting ready, and they are still kind of getting all the, I guess, the particulars together. So in this point, while they're doing that, and before they actually get started playing, Shannon brings up the issue that came to light for her in regards to, Alexis apparently seems to be going to my gym now. Now, this would be a gym that she's probably going to for quite some time. It's like around the corner or not too far away from her residence. And it was also a gym that her and John went to. And like I said before, I kind of feel like Laguna Beach, Newport News, that whole Orange County area that they are seems to be kind of small, where everybody knows everybody. And particularly since you've been on the show as well, everybody's definitely going to know everybody. So, they seem to have relationships with individuals that, that they frequent their patronage and their, gyms and all that kind of stuff. And so they're really are really cool with whoever their trainer is over there. So apparently the trainer is now letting Shannon know, oh yeah, apparently Alexis and John now are coming and training with me. And she didn't understand, Shannon didn't, like, why are they still going to my gym? Why are they using my trainer? Can I not just have my trainer? I mean, it's bad enough that Alexis has my ex-boyfriend. Why does she not have to have my trainer too, right? It's starting to be a little bit of a pattern here is developing as well. So, of course, the ladies at the table feel the exact same way. She's actually talking a little specifically to Emily and Gina. And Emily and Gina's like, yeah, why don't you just go find another gym? I mean, there's so many gyms around here. Why not find another gym? Why does it have to be that one, right? Which then, of course, makes Shannon even more uncomfortable and maybe hoping that Shannon probably won't go, right? That's what is kind of the thing. And I believe that there's some conversation in regards to that a little bit more, but we'll go into that in a later scene. So at this point, that's kind of what's the brewing conversation is regards to Alexis. But now that the ladies are starting to disperse and get in their kind of game day ready, they get out there. Gina and Alexis comes up to Gina and starts, just kind of a bit of small talk, but does let her know, hey, my trainer let me know that you're pretty good with the football. And if you recall, when Gina, Emily, and Shannon had hung out last episode and had the conversation with DUI and all that kind of stuff that I kind of went over earlier, that was actually a gym in which that trainer was helping them with their football skills. And I believe I mentioned that in the last recap and review. So apparently what she's saying is that, oh yeah, he just kind of came up and said, oh, I just saw them and she's got a mean hook. And so, Alexis is trying to put herself in a position to, just be extra uber friendly with whoever. Probably too, she might feel a little bit bad about the way that she kind of snapped at Gina also at the New Year's Eve brunch situation, when she asked about the marriage thing and why people seem to be protecting John and all that stuff. So I kind of think that was a way of her kind of soft landing a reconciliation with her without really having to just say, look, my bad, I didn't mean to be so feisty with you. So Gina's just kind of listening, but she does ask her, don't you feel kind of weird just going to her gym? I mean, she goes, no, I don't feel weird. I mean, at the end of the day, she has not been there and however long she said that she was there. And so we go and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Kind of thing. So Jean's like, oh, okay. So of course she's going to go and make a beeline to Shannon and let Shannon know this is what she shared. And Shannon is kind of just like, okay, whatever at this point. We also in this period of time get to swing over to Katie, where Katie's kind of talking and sharing a little bit about her situation even more. And we get a little bit more personal information where she is talking about, I'm not really sure who comes up with the conversation though, because this might lead into it, where there was some conversation at this point where there's a little bit of, we don't know, fibbing going on or not, but I think it might have been Alexis talking to Gina about her her sex life, if you will, with John and how frequent it is and all that good stuff. Because Gina's able to take that information and carry it to Shannon also. And Shannon's like kind of like shocked because she's like, well, he's 62 years old and, apparently he wasn't doing all that back then. So I find it hard to believe he's doing it 4 times a day with her, but that, of course, always seems to be a running theme. But hold on with that because that's going to come back again later on, right, in the episode. So then we're going to Katie, and we're getting a little bit more from Katie, a little bit more personal story from her, where she talks about, the fact that she had been married for 10 years. I'm not quite sure or recall how we got over to that point, but nevertheless, it was nice that, Katie felt to share that. So she did. She shares that, her and her ex were married for 10 years. And obviously things did not work out. And how she met her husband now, and she's, really happy with him. They seem to be very much in love. And one of the things that she was really concerned with is that, she had 3 kids. So she didn't know if, she was ever going to find anybody else at this point. But, then voila, her husband then does appear. So that's what I would say to anyone. Don't ever give up on love. If you're in a situation that doesn't work out, don't feel like you can never have a new person in your life who can bring you joy and all of that wonderful stuff. Just if you get yourself in a place that allows you to be open for that and then be able to work with that, that too can be for you. And that's pretty much what I think the moral of the story of that is. And of course, she did have 3 kids at that time. Now she has 4. So she's very, very happy. And, she just felt like he was just really that man that just was sent from above for her. And I'm glad that, at this point, it seems like things have been working thus far. And like I said, they just, celebrated 7-year anniversary in October, which I don't know exactly what time frame this is happening, but so that's really, really nice for her to share with us. And I like love, so that really worked for me. Now we do also go back to a time as all the ladies are now, commencing with the playing, and they're doing the rugby, they're doing their thing, they're having fun, they're getting their tackles or not tackles. There's a lot of running going on, and just everybody's having a good time. At this point, we get a little bit more conversation with Alexis in a confessional where she is talking in response to the gym situation, how she was a little bit irritated about, being asked if she felt bad about being there or felt like she should be going there because she could find someplace else to go work out. Because she's like, hey, look, Shannon doesn't own the gym. Does she own the gym? If she doesn't own the gym, then it's my gym, which is so quite funny that she says that, because that's what Shannon's like, well, this is my gym. So how is it any different if you're using the terminology mine? Then you don't own it either. So, ladies, let's go find another gym is really the moral of the story. So, but, of course, she wanted to make sure she put that out there. Let's see. Shannon here that she can, it's trying so hard to like. Also, during that time frame, with the kind of conversations going on, as well as the playing and all that good stuff, Shannon kind of expresses her frustration, or more or less, not really full on frustration, but irritation, if you will, about Alexis trying to be so liked by everybody in the group, right? She's trying to kind of go overboard about that. And so she does express that to Gina. And, again, they just go ahead and continue on playing the game. And that's what we end up coming to. But everybody at least looked like they had a good time. There was no brawls that broke out, so that's good. But we do find out that the Destroyers won the game, and of course, because with a name like the Destroyers, isn't that what you expect? I mean, look, I'm here for the love, of course, and I'm here for love. It wins above all, but not in this case, I guess. So that was Emily's team. She was the captain of the team. Shannon was on that team, and a few other ladies on that team. I can't remember everybody who was on there. Maybe Gina might have been on there too. Not sure, but nevertheless, they win, so that's great. They all do end up having a bit of a sit down, kind of relaxing a little bit. Alexis at this point exits herself and she leaves, so she's no longer at the event anymore, but the other ladies are. They sit down and get herself a pizza, kind of just sit down, get a drink and everything, and just relish in what's going on. But at the same time, this is opening up the ladies to have a conversation, the ladies being in front of everyone, which is probably not a bad idea at this point, considering what she went through. But Jen and Gina, end up having the conversation and speaking after the situation and kind of just going further on explaining the situation. So they're kind of going back and forth with each other, right? Gina still doesn't feel like she quite gets it. So she's being a little bit still aggressive with Jen. Jen is basically saying, I was really upset and offended by the way that you came at me. And, I understand that, things was not the best situation, but was not my intent. And I just felt, really horrible about how things went. And, you start to see Gina soften a little bit because the other ladies start to chime in as well. And they really start talking about a couple of things with Jen, because Jen, like I said, she's a very revealing, transparent individual at this point. She lets her know that, look, not everything has been so easy for me in the fact of life, really, right? And how to do things in life. The bottom line is that she was pampered all her life, right? She comes from money, apparently. And it also comes from the mindset that the men obviously take care of the women in the family. That's just what it seems to be. So in her situation with Will, she was a stay-at-home mom. She had the kids. She kept that together. Will did the working and had the money, had the lavish lifestyle, was, afforded by Will at this point by way of working for her parents' company. So this is what she's used to. She's used to being taken care of. She's used to having people handle that, and particularly the men in her life. Her father, as she shared tearfully about how he's always kind of coming to her aid and getting her out of the situation. By the way, he's the one that got her out of the situation of the eviction as well. I don't know if she's got that eviction on her record or not, but at the end of the day, because I'll give it some time, he'll probably have that squashed if he hasn't already. But he does give her the money for the upside down money that was owed for rent to pay her out of that situation that she would have not been able to do. So, at the end of the day, that's what she's used to. And, some people just have it like that. The bad thing about it in this case, and it does not always this in every single case, just because you are pampered that way doesn't necessarily that you walk around without the knowledge of how to take care of yourself. I would never prescribe that to 100% of the people. But in her case, she does follow in a group of people who don't. If you're not expected to do anything, then they don't always look and figure out things on their own either. So, and that's what her case was. Even the producer asks her during her confessional, have you ever owned a credit card in your name? She says, no, I never had a credit card in my own name, which is like flabbergasted because, she's 46 years old. And she says it's really difficult for her because now she's learning all these things in her 40s that most people learn in their 20s. And she's not wrong about that. She's absolutely correct. There's a lot of things that she's learning now that she should have already known 20 plus years ago. So the ladies are getting a little bit more of an understanding, and maybe it's starting to not come on down on her as hard but they're trying to talk to her about, you really got to start putting some things into place because, like she says, if things don't work out here with Ryan, even though it's good at this point, if they don't work out, her and her kids are out on the street. Or she's also shared and later on that, she may end up having to make a move at this point, and that would mean going back home to Oklahoma because I'm assuming that's where her family is. So that's what is happening here. And it's getting a little warm again. I tell you what, oh my gosh, we just cannot get a break with this temperature. So that's what ends up happening with that. The ladies become much more understanding, and Gina starts to soften even more, and she just starts to talk more from perspective of like, look, I just don't want you to be in a place like I was. I want you to get out there, do what you need to do because I feel like you're capable, right? Of course, I feel like you're going to be able to do what you need to do and get yourself together and be able to do what you need to do to be there for your kids and not have to rely anymore on your husband. I just want you to be a strong, independent woman and successful at doing that. So, but then we also get to see a little bit more of that. Jen is like I said, she's extremely open to, all the ladies' suggestions and how they feel, because I think they really did come to her really in a niceness. Now, in that conversation, not only was the rent an issue, the car that she had, apparently, she had a nice, I think, Range Rover, apparently, and that was supposed to be a nice thing. And, Emily had kind of joked about, hey, you might want to take a picture of that when Katie said that she thought she was a nice car. She goes, you might want to take a picture of it because it's probably not going to be there anymore, right? So Emily does ask about that car. Well, she ends up sharing that, and we get a flashback also of the actual conversation between her and Ryan, that she did get rid of her car. Basically, Ryan gives her his car, takes the $24,000 in upside down payment and rolls it into him getting a new vehicle into his payment. And that's how they get rid of the car. So I guess they sell the car, give the car up or whatever, give it back to the dealership, get the $24,000, roll into a payment of his new car because clearly he's got the funds to do that, and he carries that. So again, she's being saved again, and it also will keep the situation off the records for her. As far as having her car, what is that when they go grab your car from the front of the house? I can't even think of it right now. I'm thinking of another word and it's not the word, but repossess, right? So she did not have to be embarrassed to that extent. The eviction was probably enough. And as again, you see people trying to do what they can to help her. So that way, I think some of this stuff does not really stay in the records either, or get squelched. I mean, it's good for storyline, but if they can find a way to clear those records, they're going to. No doubt about that. And her getting that car switch out was part of it. So, at this point, one can also say, look, people are just helping her out a little bit right now until she gets herself on her feet completely. But she is fully aware of that, and she is trying to move forward in that. But of course, like when she shared about the fact that, look, I could be on the street if this doesn't work out, Heather says, well, let's do something about this now, right? She says, let's not wait until you have the potential of bottoming them out. Let's get you together. Let's get some things together in place to help you. So we'll probably see some things hopefully open up for Jen as this show and season goes on. So yeah, at this point, also, we kind of talk a little bit about what's really going on with Gina, that she's not fully upset with Jen about everything just because of just that, but she's also bothered by the fact that her and Travis are now decided to live separately. And that's weighing on her. It's hard for her. And a lot of the ladies at the table wasn't even fully aware that was going on. So they're like, I said, y'all breaking up? And she's like, no, I'm not breaking up. It's not what it is. It's just because of the situation with his ex-wife and whatever baggage is being alleged that is, taking over or being a part of the situation. He needs to handle that. It's not fair for me with my kids, trying to do things for them. Of course, when I want to do things for them, I want to do things for his kids as well, because, everybody was cohabitating in one place. But, she may not have the money and funds to do it for everybody, but she doesn't want to no longer leave out her kids from doing things that she would like to do with them, because she's not able to do for the other, because she loves the other kids just like her own as well. And so has been a real issue for her. Also, space, of course, the kids are getting bigger. They're in a very small home at this point. You got 3-on-3 as far as the kids. There's 6 of them in the house. His kids are over there part-time. Her kids are there all the time. But kids are getting older. The rooms are but so big, and they need more space. And so this allows for a room to be freed up, and then more space around the house for the kids as well, until they have an opportunity to, maybe if they decide to get back together and things start working out better for them financially, they'll be able to get a home that they can afford, because that's part of the problem too. They could not put enough funds and resources together at this time to get a house big enough for what they would need for their children. So at this point, having 2 separate homes is what seems to work best. But it's very emotional. Like Tamara shares, I don't know too many people who can be together for 4 years, living together and all that good stuff, to all of a sudden move out and then say that they're going to continue to stay together. We're hoping that does happen exactly that way for Gina, because neither one of them want to be apart. But Travis seems to be, look, I'm not 100% sure of the fact that we're going to still be together. I don't know how things are going to work out. I just know that I'm leaving my home, and he's not happy about that. So we do know that. So we get to see that Gina is being much more transparent about her feelings, and that she said maybe some of that situation is bleeding into the conversation I'm having with you and going off on you, and I apologize for that. So Jen expresses her apology as well to Gina for putting her in a position that she put her in, but she also accepts the apology that Gina gives her, and everybody seems to be at this point back to being copacetic. So that's really great. Even so much so, Emily has rewards to give to the girls, and it works out really nice. She gives out what I would consider participation awards for the event, because it was quite a success. And 3 of the ladies got an award, and we were good to go. So now we are going to move on to Emily and Shannon, which I really am liking Emily and Shannon hanging out, and I'm liking Emily and Gina hanging out, and those 3 hanging out. I'm really liking that. It's like a rebuilding of a relationship that was really cool at once before. So I'm really appreciative of seeing that. Basically, it appears to be Emily's husband, his birthday coming up. And she says he's got everything under the sun he could ever want. So what am I going to give him? A boudoir type of photo shoot. So, Emily's been very much into her physical fitness. She's lost quite a bit of weight. She shared it was a combination of Ozempic, hard work, and something else. Definitely determination. But she's been transparent about how that has come about. But she is very much obsessed in the gym at this point, she says, to the point where it can kind of be a little bit much, but she's just dealing with those body image issues. She doesn't want to go back to where she once was before. She feels good and she just really wants to stay in that space. So that is definitely a driving conversation that her and Shannon have. And I think that's a good conversation for her and Shannon to have, because, Shannon a few seasons ago also had issues with her weight, and, when she was fluctuating back and down the way that she was doing. And, she had some very personable moments that she shared with us when she was gaining extra weight, which usually was simultaneously connected to a guy that she was dealing with, and it wasn't going too well. So you go figure the connection there. But Shannon looks great now. So, and guess what? That's not around a guy. So at the end of the day, she's a good person to have that conversation with. So they do talk about that. She talks about her schedule and how she feels about the working out, but she's happy to be doing the pictures. The photo shoot does commence. Emily looks great. She's got some great shots that she is going to put together, and it's going to be a surprise for her husband. And so I'm sure we'll probably see in the next episode or two for the revealing. Also in this conversation, we talk about some other things, and it was quite an interesting conversation, because of course we start talking, since we're in the fitness area, and I think it's getting connected here. Give me a break. Give me a moment here. Oh yeah, I hate when that thing does that. Anyways, so as Emily is talking about the fact that she feels she's working out too much, this simultaneously is going on at the same time where Tamara, Jen, and Alexis are hanging out together, and they're actually walking their dogs. And of course, when Alexis shows up, because Alexis now has her ex-boyfriend, she's going to her gym using her trainer. What else do you think that she would have over on a dog walk? I'll give you 2 seconds. Okay, because if you watch the show, you know where I'm going. If you don't, well, let's just let you know. Basically, she comes there with a dog that looks just like Archie. Who is Archie, you may ask, if you're not aware? Shannon's dog. Okay? I don't know what kind of breed the dog is, but the color, the way the dog looks, everything, the breed of the dog, I think everything is the exact same thing. So of course, Tamara can't help but to make a joke about that, because it's kind of a little bit jarring. She said, "What did you do? Go and steal her dog too?" She said, "No, this is not Archie. I adopted a dog." So out of all of the dogs you could have adopted, you had to find one that looked exactly like Shannon's dog too. Okay, like I said, there's a pattern, being put in place here. So we're following the breadcrumbs, right? So of course, she laughs it off. Jen laughs it off. They go and start walking. There are 3 dogs. They kind of are doing kind of a hiking trail type of thing, and they're doing some conversation there. Jen also, along with Alexis actually, and Tamara starts off a conversation with Jen, because she's really concerned about Jen, because Jen and Tamara are really good friends, right? After all, Jen came on the show through Tamara, and she really just wants to let her know, I really want to, basically see you win. So really hope that, things are going to work out for you in this situation. We need to do what we can to help you, because we don't want to see you bottom out. And, Jen is extremely appreciative of that. Now we're going to do a cross-referencing of scenes, because going back to Emily and Shannon, as they're talking about the body image, working out, all that kind of stuff, it alludes now to Shannon wanting to share some update juice, if you will, with Emily in regards to the situation with the ongoing saga of the gym. So apparently a guy named Alex, which I guess is a trainer. Oh no, he's actually, well, he might be the trainer too, but he's definitely the co-owner of that gym, comes to Shannon and basically says, "Hey, I happen to see John and Alexis up here, and at the end of the day, I'm not really interested in having any issues," right? Because I think he might, a small town, there's probably always conversations being had, but he didn't want to have any problems, because he didn't understand what was going on. Well, why all of a sudden he's coming in with another blonde to his shop, when Shannon and him has always been here, right? Because they had been with them for quite some time, actually. So she's like, "Oh, yeah, that's what's going on." But interesting enough, then we court back over to Jen, Alexis, and Tamara. And her version of the situation is that the trainer comes up to them, basically says, "Look, I don't want any trouble. I don't want any issues here." And so, that conversation is continuing on. So when Alex went to Shannon to talk about that situation, he's basically referencing a conversation he had had with Alexis and John, by telling them that he did not want any trouble at the gym. And, of course, Alexis corpsed at him real quick. Well, I'm a good Christian girl, and I'm going to be doing things in a Christian way. He said, oh, you're such a good Christian girl. This good Christian girls basically talk about their sex life. And so, of course, at this point, when that's said to her, John, being standing right there, who has quite the foul mouth, starts, effing you, F you, F you, and this is this and this and this and this, and I'll basically dare you, I'm sure, and F you again. And basically, we're out of here. We're never going to come back here. And Alexa says, yeah, we're not coming back here. We're not coming to this crap shop. And also, John storms out basically saying, this has got to be Shannon. This is all because of Shannon. Shannon's behind this. And Shannon's like, I am not behind this. I'm not doing anything, right? Just what she's telling Emily as we're coming out of that conversation and going back to Emily and Shannon. So Emily's like sitting here looking at her like, this is so weird. It's like she's single white femaling you. And, why is it like she's in every aspect of your life? Like, it doesn't make sense. But at this point now, at least she's getting her gym back. But maybe she might be dealing with some more issues now. And I still don't really know quite really what John's issue is with Shannon. It seems like he's really upset with Shannon about something. Is it that he's upset that Shannon didn't do certain things that he wanted her to do for them to stay together? Because he seems not to be very happy, or at everything about being with Alexis gives off the appearance that it's about a nan boo-boo type thing. It just seems really silly for someone of their matured age to be acting in the way they're acting. It just seems like if you're happy with who you're with now, I don't know why we got to do this get back with Shannon. It wasn't like Shannon was your wife. So is there something else going on? I know there was an issue potentially with Shannon, or allegedly with Shannon and his kids. So are you getting back at her because they didn't get along? I don't know what's going on there. I mean, it's like he's on a world-class tour without physically being on the show, but the intent is to humiliate her. That's just what it gives off, right? Love to know your thoughts. Go ahead and drop those respectively down in the comment section if you're feeling that too, or you think it's just, no, this is just normal. But yeah, so that's basically what happens with that. Let's see if there's anything else here. I think I've pretty much covered everything in those two simultaneous conversation. Now, Shannon does basically share that in her confessional, as this scene is kind of wrapping up for those both, where she says, it's interesting about Alexis that, first she's got my ex-boyfriend, she's getting loved bombed, meaning, being pretty much just everything, gifts given, love, all that kind of stuff all at once, to kind of sweep you off your feet, but then also not let you pay attention to red flags if there is any. She says, they're going to the same gym, of course, at least they were at that point. Apparently, there is a picture that circulates around that looks like they're at a hotel restaurant kind of thing. That is the same place that John had took Shannon to. So it's the same hotel, same restaurant for the same type of event, being a birthday. So I guess there's not a lot of options, but this is where he's taking her. And so at the end of the day, Shannon's starting to think, maybe she is trying to, have my life. And she says, you know what? Good luck on that. Because obviously somebody's trying to replace her. Not to mention about the dog, which I don't know if Shannon is aware that she had also adopted a dog that looks just like Archie. It's all kinds of weird. Okay. I mean, and let me tell you something. In my feelings, if they're doing all of this for, enhancing the storyline, I don't know if looking like you're kind of a stalker is really the right way to go. But hey, maybe anything goes when you want to get on the show. I don't know. But I don't see how it would even work with those two on the show. I think we would find ourselves quickly in a situation that's very similar as far as both sides of the cast being on different opposite sides, like Real Housewives of New Jersey is going through. And I don't think we need that anymore. We just got Real House of Orange County back on, even ground, right? So, I don't really want to see it going down because of, Alexis and Phantom John. So, we'll just have to see how all things go. From that point, things kind of wrap up. Emily and Shannon's conversation wraps up. The pictures already been taken. They're getting ready to leave the studio, go on to their respected areas. And then we kind of get a little bit of sneak peek of how they're kind of tuning and turning down for the evening. We see Shannon with her dog Archie, lighting a fire, getting herself relaxed, and then we quip over to Jen and Ryan, who seem to be living their best lives, cohabitating at this point, having a little bit of sexy time in the pool and just enjoying themselves. And that's how it kind of ends, I guess, the evening for them at that point. And so then we're sliding into home here, where we are moving into a couple of interesting territory. A lot of it sad, quite frankly, but here we go. But we did get to start it off with seeing Sutton, because we love Sutton Strack, don't we? So Sutton from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills actually sets scene out in Real Housewives of Orange County, which was kind of fun. I like when they do cross feeds sometimes with the housewives. So this was fun. Because remember, Katie is actually connected to Sutton, and Sutton is the one that got Katie connected to Gina. So when Katie moved on to RHOC, she was able to get a place to stay, one that apparently she can afford, I would say, the mortgage. So that seemed to work out. And of course, Gina and Katie are just getting along so well. So they absolutely love each other. So those two both meet up with Sutton at a really nice cafe, and they kind of just chatted up a little bit, get to, just kind of catch up for the most part. Because I didn't realize that Sutton and Gina were that close, but apparently they are. So, Sutton gives us a little bit more insight as to how Katie and her met, and it was in Augusta, of course. Sutton's very proud of being from Georgia, right? So apparently during the golfing season over there in Augusta, if you know that they always have the golfing tournaments and stuff, what's called the Masters, that is every year. So that's where they met, actually. And as we know, Katie and her husband are in the golfing business. So they became fast friends because someone there basically told Sutton, hey, she is someone you need to know. So that's all Sutton needed. And they've been cool ever since. Now, they do talk a little bit about just how, a bit of a catch up, how things are going. And she does ask about, how she's getting along with all the rest of the ladies. She does mention Heather, because Sutton and Heather also are cool as well, because, Heather got her new home in Beverly Hills. So we'll see if there's going to be a different crossover where Heather may be leaving Orange County and going to Beverly Hills. I wonder if that's going to happen. We don't know for sure, but it seems like things are setting up that way, right? And it would be an easy slide in if she did. But back to what's going on here in Orange County. Heather has definitely been giving those, direct hints, if you will, letting us know that she doesn't know if Heather really cares for her too much, because she felt a little snubbed a couple of times that they had, definitely that first time when they had met up. And it's never really kind of got on track behind that. And I think the reason being is because she probably felt, because I was at her party, of course, she was going to be nice and gracious, but it just felt maybe fake, not real, like, you do remember me, right? Kind of thing. Like, we have met before. This is not the first time I'm meeting you. So that's kind of pretty much a thorn in the backside of Katie. And she is something she's going to want to address. At this point, we see that that's going to be coming. So it's going to be a theme. I think I might have asked you your thoughts for that on the last episode. And I think we're seeing more of a shaping of that being something that's going to be addressed. So, of course, she says, seemingly she's going to have a conversation about the snubbery, because she needs to understand what's really going on. I think we're also opening in the territory of a situation where someone got a hold of, or a conversation. I don't know if that's in episode 3. Well, it's definitely going to be in episode 3. Episode 4, excuse me, because this is episode 3, more as to a situation in regards to paparazzi being called. So I'm going to leave that at that point here, because we're going to get into it much more in the next recap and review, where it really does kind of blow up. But there is the conversation being had about confronting that. Basically, Katie has to know somebody within the paparazzi world that was letting her know, Heather does basically, calls paparazzi for staged pictures. There was some accusations of that in the season finale of last season, where Tamara was basically sharing that, and Heather was definitely saying, no, I don't have paparazzi staged, take photos of us from wherever we are, and that kind of thing. So this is going to be brought back up. And if you have already seen episode 4, you will know that that's been full-fledged brought up. Now, of course, Sutton is basically saying, I don't know if I would want to deal with Heather. I don't know if I would want to come up against her in that way. So, of course, she's laughing about it, but she knows it's this is for real about what she's saying. So at this point, the ladies kind of just finish up their lunch and we kind of move on over to Emily and her husband. They have a little bit of a heartfelt conversation in regards to the health and situation, because apparently, I think his name is Sean, is Emily's husband. His daughter, which is her stepdaughter, had came to her and told her that, she had a conversation with her dad and she wasn't too thrilled about, him speaking on her about eating healthy and something like that, kind of in a way of like, don't forget, you might want to not do this or eat this. When she's like, you don't do anything, you don't work out, he doesn't do any of that kind of stuff. And yet she's looking at Emily, and Emily is always working out and doing what she needs to do. And, so it's like a really a complicated thing, I guess, because you see one doing all she can to be completely fit and overboard with the fitness, and you have the other one doing absolutely nothing. So Emily does bring this up. Sean is kind of just, or Shane, not Sean, it's Shane. He comes up and just says, okay, all right. No problem. I'm not going to understand that you would feel this way about, my lack of workout, because you're doing it so much for both of us. So, but she is really saying, I'm really concerned with if we don't kind of get a hold on that we may find ourselves in a situation where, if you, have a situation and you keel over, what am I going to do? And he's, makes a funny joke, because Shane does that often. Well, we won't be in a position in wherever location she said he would probably be when it would happen, because he doesn't do that activity. And of course, it's not very funny to her, but this is how he does to relieve stress, I guess. But at the end of the day, he does seem to understand. Again, it's just another heartfelt conversation about it. He basically says, look, we got to come together with the scheduling. You do too much, I don't do enough. We can somehow come in the middle, and let's do that. But you're going to have to really start prioritizing other things in the situation as well. Because like you said, whenever she's at the gym doing all what she's doing, he's there with the kids. So, balance is key, right? So they seem to be happy. At the end of that conversation, no one's pulling anyone's hair out. They seem to be come to an agreement, and we'll see how things go with that if it gets brought up later on. Then we are lastly rolling into what was really a kind of a somber way to end off the show, but nevertheless, this is a saga type of series, right? So we just keep rolling in with the story. So we're getting to the point where Travis is actually physically moving out of the house that he shares with Gina and her kids, and he ends up actually moving into a home just down the street, maybe down the block kind of thing. Like, it's not very far. But it's still kind of weird because, like, it's kind of hitting Gina all at once, watching him, pack up and, get ready to move out. And she's like starting to feel, like she's second guessing her, her feelings are second guessing, but her decision to do this, she knows it's the right decision for her and the family, and evidently for them as well, because she feels that if they don't get a handle of the situation, really more or less Travis gets the handle of the situation with his prior relationship, this is going to end up breaking them up in the end anyways. So at this point, he's not thrilled with it. He's doing it because that's what she wants. I know she does bring up about, well, for the kids, and he's like, look, let's not bring the kids into this. This is a decision that you're making because it's what you want to do. She goes, and I understand that. She goes, and I do feel really horrible about this. I've got to sit here now and look at the fact that I'm not going to be, you're not going to be here tonight with me. And that hurts. And so, he's like, yeah, well, we'll see what we can do, but let's just, let's keep it in perspective. You're the one that wants this. I don't, but, Travis seems to be a real good stand-up guy, and, he understands what is being said, but it still hurts nevertheless. So basically, he gets the last of his things. He gets in the car, her and her dog go out there to basically see him off. She basically says, make sure you, give me a call. Let me know what you're settled in, this home is not that far apparently from her house. And he says, okay. And he drives away, and that pretty much ends the episode. So I would definitely love to have your thoughts. I would like to know what you thought about all that went on in episode 3. I personally am happy that Jen and Gina have come to some kind of resolve, and we get it now, right? Jen gets it now for Gina and how she's so upset. So do you feel like this is going to bubble back up later on, or do you think that this is kind of a done deal? We have come to a conclusion on this situation. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Do you feel a storm of brewing when it comes to Heather and Katie? Yeah, wait up for episode 4, because I think that that's where the storm is going to Okay. And yeah, Heather's going to have to come out, in the way that she does so well, so often. But yeah, it's just quite interesting how all the things shaped up for this. Uh, Episode. So definitely leave your thoughts. I thought it was really nice that they did have an opportunity to do the flag football thing because, it seemed to really give the ladies an opportunity to get their frustrations out, but also give them an opportunity to talk and kind of come to some resolution, which is something that we need to happen on Real Housewives of New Jersey. But I digress. We're back over here. So that being said, yeah, definitely, please, if you have not subscribed and you've been here for the recap review, I hope that you will consider subscribing and be part of the family because, of course, I would love to have you here with me through this journey of this channel. And, of course, it is for free. So go ahead and just hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also hit your all notification bell on so you do not miss an episode. I do have another recap and review, obviously, for episode 4 for Real Housewives of Orange County to get to you. So I'm going to be working on that. I will be coming back probably 1 to 2 more times, for sure, 1 more time, because I've got a video that I'm about to put together real quick and set it up and then get this out to you. It's one that I really didn't want to do. I wish I didn't have to do, but hey, here we are. But I'll share that when we get to that moment. So definitely have your bells on so you can not miss that. And, definitely just want to share what's going on thus far with that particular topic. So with that being said, I think I'm going to bid you adieu. If I don't get a chance to, if you don't get a chance to come back, later on today, I hope that you will come back, obviously after and get this information and, leave your respectful comments down below. So that being said, I'm going to leave you adieu. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and I will see you next time. Bye.